Thanks for listening to Mike Douglas, Michigan's retirement coach.
One of the many questions that a lot of savers, investors have, no matter where they are in relation to retirement, Mike, is how long is this rally really going to last? And that's coming up in this next half hour question that I want to tackle with you. The strength of this rally, where we're headed, as best that we can assume. But first, I can't believe it's been this many weeks and we're only just now getting to Taylor and Travis's wedding. The story that I furthermore can't believe you're allowing me to talk to you about this morning on Wood Radio.
Yep, here we go. It's time.
So in case you've been living under a rock, or maybe you just don't have daughters or granddaughters, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce tied the knot a few weeks back, spared zero expense, it would seem, on their wedding. There are reports that they spent at least $10 million.
As we all do.
If you compare it, if you correlate to how much you would spend on a wedding when your daughter gets married one day versus the amount of money that you have, the ratio, the comparison to the amount of money that Taylor and Travis have, it probably doesn't differ that much.
Compared to their net worth?
Yeah.
It's probably less than what most people spend against their net worth on their kids' weddings.
As you know, listening to us on the radio, if you have ever had to pay for a wedding or plan a wedding yourself, you know that it's not just about getting the venue and the caterer. There's so many little costs that creep in and come along with it. Things like upgrades. Don't you want these linen napkins versus the cheap synthetic polyester napkins? And don't you want this beautiful sequencey tablecloth versus just the plain one? Service charges. There's the photographer. It adds up fast, these little things creeping in. And it doesn't just happen with wedding plans or vacation plans or so many other well laid out plans that we have in life, Mike. It can happen with our savings, with our investments in our accounts. So let's talk about investor fees that we may be paying and don't even know that we are, and what that can do to our plan and our savings.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the best things you can do to build a successful retirement plan is know. You need understanding of your plan. You don't necessarily want to become a stock trader or doing all that stuff, because that's typically why people hire us, is because they say, I don't want to deal with that. But to know what your fee structure is, to know what your taxes will be, know where your income's going to come from, those are big decisions that you should have your grip on. And most people have no clue what they're paying for their investments in retirement. There are fees associated. I remember I was teaching a workshop at a library. This is back probably in 2018 or 2019. And as I'm teaching it, I'm telling people about fee structures and hidden costs inside of retirement and all that. And this lady says, well, and I always talk about, we'll run a fee analysis. We'll run a receipt for you. And she says, can you run one for me? I said, yeah. So we got together and we're looking through her portfolio, and she has a handful of things. She has an old 457, an IRA, and a annuity. And I said, all right, let's talk about it. She goes, yep, I want you to run fees on these two, but don't touch the annuity. That can't be messed up. Please don't mess it up. I said, well, I'm not changing anything. I'm just running a report. And I said, so let me ask you this. Why do you say don't touch it? She goes, well, that's income from my husband. I said, where's your husband? And I just meeting her for the first time, and she says he passed away a couple years ago. Well, I start to understand her story. They owned a construction company. This is out in Livingston County, closer towards Detroit. But as I'm talking to her, they owned a construction company. And through the 2008 crash, they almost lost their construction company. On the back end of it, once they got through it, he said, I'll never let us be in that position again. We will always have income. So he took $400,000 and bought an annuity. And that way, whenever he retired, if he couldn't sell his company, if he just shut it down, they would have income. Well, then he passed away before even selling his company. He passed away at 59 years old, heart attack, terrible situation. But so now she is here as a widow, and she has this income as a gift from her husband, so she would never have to deal with that again. So I said, I understand now why you're so passionate about it, why we can't just get rid of this thing. But I knew the company. I knew what I was looking at. I said, this is a high fee company. And so I said, let me just do a report. We won't change anything, but let me just do some digging, because in the world of annuities, and this is the thing people get confused about, and a lot of people who call in from this program say, I don't understand my annuity. Can you help me understand it? If that's you and you say, I have an annuity, I don't understand what the fee structures are, how it works, or if I'm at risk, if there's money left when I die. If you just want someone to run an annuity analysis, we can do that for you. Give us a call, 616-512-2127, or go to michigansretirementcoach.com and click on the button that says Start My Retirement Roadmap Today. If you do that, we can run a report for you just so you can see what type of an annuity you have. And if it's a good, bad, whatever, does it fit your situation? So for her, I ran a report and I came back and I said, now let's talk about, this is about a week later now. We go through on her 457 and her IRA. And I said, let's talk about the annuity. Why do you love the annuity? Well, because it pays me income. It's $400,000. It pays me $19,200 a year in income on $400,000. That's pretty good. And I said, all right, well, what do you think they're charging in fees? She said, I don't know, probably 1%. So she's thinking about $4,000 a year. I said, let's call the company. Let's ask them. So we get on the phone and we call them. And they said, well, we're paying 1% per year for the mutual funds inside of it that are just invested in the S&P 500. So that's $4,000 a year in fees. I said, how about a rider? Yep, there's an income rider that they charge 1% for. So, okay, so now there's another $4,000 in fees, which is that. I said, is it a single or joint income rider? Well, she actually pays a 0.5% fee to have a joint income rider, which means that as long as she or her husband is alive, the income will continue to pay. Now, she didn't start this income while he was alive. He's dead, and she didn't start it. So she's paying $2,000 a year for a rider she can't even use because she's single. There's no joint option. Okay. That's $2,000 a year in optional fees. Then we went through, we kept going down the line. The total in fees on the contract was $18,300 a year.
And she's getting how much in income a year?
$19,200. So when we first sat down and I asked her about what she wanted as a whole, not about this annuity, but what do you want in life? She says, I want to live a good retirement. I want to have enough income, but I also want to leave some money to my kids. That's really important to me.
Very reasonable, Chris. I would say most people you meet with probably, Mike, I want to be okay in my retirement. I want to leave some money to my kids. It's like for a lot of people, like that's it.
Yeah, those two, and then I don't want to overpay in taxes. Like those are the top three we hear all the time.
Okay.
And so I said, all right. So now she had about $600,000 total. $400,000 is in this annuity. $200,000 is in her other two accounts. And as I went through this with her, I said, so you're taking out $19,200. They're taking out $18,000. So your $400,000 contract, $37,500 a year is coming out. So there's no way there will be money left in this thing for your kids. Because she was 63 when we first started talking.
Yeah.
There's no way there'll be money left for your kids because this $400,000 is dropping by $37,000 every year.
Yeah.
Regardless of the market. And I said, okay. So I'm explaining to her and I said, one more question. Does the fee come out annually? And they said, no, we take it out daily. We take that number, 18,300, divide it by 360 days, and which is another weird thing they do, but divide by 360 days and we take the fee out every single day. So as I'm talking to Nancy and she's trying to understand this, her mind starts just like smoke's about to come out of her ears. And she says, well, how in the world am I going to leave money to my kids if this thing's going to be empty in a couple of years and then I've only got the other 200,000? I said, that's a problem. I said, so you see why I wanted to run the report, because you had no clue. And nor how would you?
Right.
It's an insurance contract and the contract's written by lawyers and insurance people. It's super boring reading. It's super confusing. The prospectus on it was over 100 pages long. How would you possibly know? And I said, now that we know this, what if we could still, I said, are you dead set on an annuity? I want an annuity. I like the safety of the income. I like that. I know that I could do other things, but I just like the fact that no matter what happens in the market, my income still shows up the same. Even if the account goes to zero, I still get the same income. I said, I get it. I understand. Let me shop around and see if there's a better option. So we took the $400,000 and I just shopped it. And I said, what could we get? Well, for the same $400,000, we could get almost $22,000 of income. So just immediately a $2,000 a year, almost $3,000 a year raise. And the fees were going to total $4,000.
Wow.
And I said, all right, well, now you get 22, they get 4. So we're only going down by 25 to 26,000 a year. There's a lot better chance there'll be something left for your kids. I said, Nancy, I'm not here to tell you to move it for my sake. I think we should consider moving it for your sake and for your family's sake, because you want to leave money and you want the best income. This is how we do it. But if you don't know how to read a prospectus on an insurance contract, how in the world did you know? And I understand that this is a legacy left by your husband. This is something he bought. He passed away. So the idea of what he was doing was good. I'm protecting my family. I still want him to protect your family, but we should make sure he's doing it the right way. So by moving from a bad annuity to a good annuity, we were able to keep his legacy intact of protecting Nancy and protecting their family. He was able to build this amount of money. We got them the right income. We got them the right plan. They stopped overpaying in fees. And in the same way that I'm not going to go to the grocery store and say, hey, can I pay double for this milk? Is there any way you can charge me twice for 1 gallon? Right? That's kind of what was happening. She was being charged multiple times for one income.
Right.
We got that fixed. And all she had to do was she came in, we ran a report for her on her fees. And then from there, we had to make 1 or 2 simple decisions. Does this make sense to change or should I stay? And from there, she could decide. Well, once you see those things in writing, clearly laid out, the decision was easy. I'm going to honor my husband's work by getting in the right type of annuity. If you're out there and you say, I have no idea what type of annuity I have. I have no idea what I'm paying in fees. Nobody's ever explained it to me in a way I could understand, and I don't want to start reading prospectus. This isn't just for annuities. The same is true of mutual funds. The same is true of ETFs. The same is true of REITs and alternative investments. There's a lot of things out there that advisors, I'm going to say advisors loosely, stockbrokers and insurance salesmen put you in because it's better for them, not better for you. Yet it's easy to find out if you know how to look or if you work with a true fiduciary, an actual fiduciary who says, I'm going to find out what's in your best interest and present that to you. Now you can know. Now you can make good decisions. Now you can be informed and not overpay for something. Don't pay twice for a gallon of milk and don't pay double on your fees inside an annuity for income. Find the better way. Build a retirement that's built for you, not for the financial industry or for some insurance salesman or for some stockbroker. Work with a fiduciary advisor. If you'd like us to run a receipt for you that will detail every fee inside your portfolio, what's being paid to an advisor or stockbroker or insurance salesman, what's being paid to the insurance company or to the mutual fund companies, every fee that's out there, we can run that report for you. It's a complimentary report. It's a fee receipt. You see it clearly laid out in front of you. From there, now you've got the information to make good decisions. Sometimes people come in, we run the report, and I say, hey, good news. Your fees are very, very low. I wouldn't change a thing. Stay where you're at. And people leave with confidence and peace of mind that I'm in the right place. Other people like Nancy come in and say, thank God I found out this information because this wasn't accomplishing my goals. It's accomplishing someone else's. If you'd like to know what you're paying in fees, reach out, give us a call, 616-512-2127, or reach out to us at michigansretirementcoach.com. We'll run a receipt for you. We will run a fee analysis, and you can know by knowing what you're paying in fees, you can make the right decisions. 616-512-2127.
Empowering you with information is the goal that Mike and his team have for every review that they do. They want to help you out with this fee review of your assets. So reach out. 616-512-2127 is that number to dial right now. This is a no fee, no obligation initial review. Call right now. Let's set a time on the calendar to start the conversation with you and Mike. 616-512-2127. Fees are something that kind of silently creep in and shake our plan up without even us realizing it. Now, other things are right there in our face every single day. Can't get away from it. Here comes more news about inflation numbers, about the market. Where are we with all of these things and volatility? Despite headlines, the stock market, we've all seen it. It continues to set records. It continues to leave investors wondering this question, though, Mike. And we've been asking this for the past several years. How much longer is this rally really going to last? Asset manager Kevin Mann was on Fox Business talking about how he's done the research. This is Kevin Mann.
Going all the way back to 1946, there have been 12 bull markets in this country. The average duration of those bull markets is around 5.3 years. Average return, I don't know, roughly 178%. This bull market, we're about 3.5 years into it and about 118% higher. Now, I know this time could be different, but if history serves as a guide, markets could continue to move higher, particularly if the AI infrastructure spend continues and, of course, the situation in Iran gets resolved.
He brought up AI. He brought up Iran. When markets keep setting records like this, Mike, how can we help ourselves avoid getting overly confident? How do you help clients you work with?
I don't know how long I'm allowed to sing a song before it becomes a copyright issue, but you got to know when to hold them.
I think you can sing for 5 seconds. Know when to hold them. Everybody now.
Yeah. And that's what it is, right? We need to know when to take some chips off the table. We need to know when good is good enough. We need to know, is the fear of missing out greater than the fear of losing? So a lot of people, we get what's called recency bias. We only remember the last 12 to 24 months in the market. And a lot of it comes down to, what was your life experience during that time? Let's say you're 40 to 45 years old in 2008. Well, now we're here. Now you're probably retiring or close to retirement. But at 40, the stock market crash didn't kill you. It didn't hurt you. It didn't change your life. You just kept on working, kept putting money in. And you actually got a discount on the stock prices you were buying. And it was good for you in the long run. If you were close to retirement in 2008, and then because of the crash, you had to postpone retirement for 5 years. Now, when I talk about market corrections, you're hypersensitive to it and you're very concerned. And we have to remember that, what is the goal? What are we trying to accomplish? Did we accomplish that goal? There is a way of segmenting your money, a way of thinking about retirement planning that is not about rates of return. It's about the life that you're building. We had a client who came in, his name was Tony. And as we're building a plan for him, I said, here's historical models. We're going to model at, 4.5%, 6%, 9%, all these numbers. And it looked good. Everything looked really good in terms of the plan. He said, run it at 3%. I said, Tony, if you get 3%, you should fire me. Like, we shouldn't even be working together if you're only getting 3%. That's crazy to pay me a fee to get you 3%. He goes, no. But I just know that if 3% works,
right,
everything above that's better.
Yeah.
And I said, I understand. And then once we took some risk analysis software and we kind of worked through it, I also understood that he is very risk averse. He does not want to start. So 3% felt like winning to him.
Yeah.
So we ran it and everything worked fine at 3%. And he goes, okay, great. Now let's build the portfolio. And we didn't build it to accomplish 3%. We still built it the way it was supposed to be built. However, we kept looking at, where were we supposed to be right now? This is back in 2013, we built this plan. 2015, where are we supposed to be? 2017, where are we supposed to be? And we keep coming back. So we'd sit down every year. And as I'm going through, I say, hey, we're $40,000 ahead of schedule. All right. The next year, hey, now we're $60,000 ahead of schedule because you planned on 3% and we got 5% or 8% or whatever the number is for the year. And so we would tell them, what are we going to do with this money? Let's take some chips off the table. Let's spend some money. So the one time he says, all right, I'm going to take my kids and my grandkids. So that him and his wife had 2 kids, 2 in-laws, and then 4 grandkids. Took them all down to Disney, did the whole week. He said we had everything but Mickey spoon feeding us breakfast.
Perfect.
So they did every experience, the princess experience for the granddaughters, everything.
Yes.
And it was, for the 1 week, $23,000.
I'm surprised. Is that
Which
all?
that was in,
Is that
well,
all?
That was in 2015.
Okay.
Today, that's a $35,000 trip. I know, because I have kids and we've priced it out. But that's what it cost. And so it was $30,000 withhold taxes, get them to $23,000, and they took the trip. 2 years later, we're back in the same conversation. Tony, we're $55,000 ahead of schedule. What should we do? We didn't say, hey, throw more in the market, double down. We said, all right. He says, well, now increase my golf budget by $500 a month, because he had his own little separate golf budget. He said, increase my golf budget by $500 a month. And then let's start sending my kids $2,000 a month. That was a number. That was a big gift.
That is a big
Let's
gift.
start sending my kids $2,000 a month. I said, why? He goes, listen, we're in our 70s now. I don't want to die with more than I ever lived with. I want us to start building this. And I said, that's what we call living inheritance. I'm alive. I still want to bless you. Let's still build something together. So could the market go high? Yes. And I agree with Kevin's analysis of this. I think there's probably more run in this market before it crashes down.
Okay.
But then what's going to happen after the crash, Heather? It's going to go back up again.
Right.
So we're going to go through these cycles. The question is, what good does your money do? Not how good does your money do, right?
Yeah.
How good is the returns? Well, really, what good did it do in your life? Did you bless your kids? Did you take trips and vacations? Did you live the life you wanted? And if you're accomplishing your goals, we don't need to be greedy. Pigs get fed, hogs go to slaughter, right? So we want to make sure that if we have goals in life, most people, when we sit down, their goal is not an 8% return. The goal is to snowbird, spend time and money on their grandkids because they can spoil them, because that's the job of a grandparent. Spend money on your grandkids that you never spent on your kids when they were young, right? And you can do these things now because you can. So why are we being greedy? Because the market may go back up. I still think you participate, but pull some chips off. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Build a life that you've been building this whole time. Don't let the market take away opportunities to love and cherish and be philanthropic. Let your money do good, not just earn well, right? So let's do that. If you want to plan for living inheritances, if you want to understand how to handle and navigate these markets, that's what we do. We build life plans that help you deal with taxes, estate planning, risk, insurance, investments, the whole thing, long-term care, Medicare. Give us a call, 616-512-2127. We will help you build a living legacy report. You will know how your money does good. 616-512-2127, or reach out to us at michigansretirementcoach.com.
Let's set a time on the calendar to start that conversation between you and Mike. If you are near or in retirement, if you've saved at least $500,000, this review process, it's no fee, no obligation to you. Just a space to empower yourself with information, education about what your options are, not just for you, but for your family as well. Mike wants to help you do that. A local independent financial and retirement planning firm with offices here in Grand Rapids, right near Woodland Mall in Kentwood. Mike is ready to start that conversation with you. So reach out to begin that conversation. 616-512-2127. You can also go to the website. It's michigansretirementcoach.com, or call right now to schedule a time on the calendar, 616-512-2127. For many savers and investors, Mike, we've talked about this before, our 401k that we have worked so diligently towards saving to and, sacrificing, and every year. I think you even told a story about in the very beginning when you first started out, you and Kimberly, before all 4 children had arrived. What was your first? And you were like, we're going to put it was something like $200 a year into the 401k. But you were like,
no, it was, we had Gavin.
Yeah.
And we had just had Zachary.
Yeah. Okay.
So we had 2 kids, no money, and like blind, dumb optimism. And I goes, hey, we need to start putting money away for retirement. And she goes, from where?
Right.
Like, where's the stack of money that we have that you've not told me about?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, there isn't one. I know you know the budget. I know you know where we're at. We got to start putting money away for retirement. And so we went through our budget line by line, found out where we could cut and save and how we could build it. And we decided to sacrificially save $50 a pay period.
If you're listening to us on Wood Radio, again, we've all been in our 20s and had nothing. And I think my first job out of college paid me $19,000 a year. And so every dollar counts.
Yeah. And it's a sacrificial gift, right? Like you're putting it away. And I was convinced that when we got our first statement, it would be great. And so again, for 3 months, we put away $50 every other week. And when the statement came in, I'm like, all right, here's where I'm going to prove that it was all worth it.
Yep.
And that this $300 has made us rich.
It was like $307.
Yes. It was like $313.
Yeah.
And I opened up the thing and I was like what have we been sacrificing for? And Kimberly's like, great investment, Mike.
Awesome.
And it just takes a while, but eventually the snowball starts rolling downhill.
Eventually it starts rolling downhill, but unfortunately things can still come around to surprise us when it comes to our 401ks. And that's what we're going to talk about now. We've graduated past our 20s. We are now in the throes of our career. You're listening to Michigan's Retirement Coach right now on Wood Radio. You're at a phase of life where you're starting to think about your retirement. You're close to retirement. You're in retirement. And your 401k, it can be your biggest retirement asset. But you need to know how to use it. Because there's this article on MSN.com warning about how tapping into your 401k too freely can cause something called phantom income. And if you're not careful, you could trigger extra taxes. This is the phantom tax. Have we talked about phantom taxes before?
We have, but I mean, it's something that it changes and evolves.
Okay.
But the idea of, and a lot of times the terminology of phantom tax, people don't understand it. But when you start talking about what it is, they say, oh, I've heard about that.
Okay.
But they don't understand it.
All right. So let's unpack this a bit. If we're not careful, we could trigger extra taxes just by crossing certain income thresholds. So if withdrawals themselves then can create surprises and issues, how do we make sure that we're not accidentally pushing ourselves into higher taxes in our retirement through this method or others?
We have these 3 phases of life: accumulation, preservation, and distribution. Accumulation is what you do from that first dining room table conversation, or the first time you said 25,000 is enough for me to start saving. I keep putting money in, the market keeps growing. Hopefully your company throws some money in, and eventually I'm going to need this money. So you save for 30 years, 35 years, whatever it is, and then you get ready for retirement. And within about 3 years of retirement, you start shifting to preservation mode. I'm still going to put money in, but I want my investments to reflect the fact that I can't afford to lose money right now. So you start shifting the investment types to preservation. Then you get in retirement, and now we got to figure out the right method of distribution. as I take money out of this, as the money passes on to the next generation, what are the tax consequences of everything? And this distribution is one of the least focused on areas. 99% of the financial world spends all of their time, education, and marketing on accumulation. Every big box firm touts returns, touts services, touts the size of the company. They rarely, if ever, talk about the tax consequences of distribution. Typically, they're not allowed to. They will tell their advisors, I'm going to air quote advisors, but they're going to tell their agents or their sales reps, do not talk about the tax consequences of taking money out of the accounts. Just let them know that there are tax consequences and they need to go talk to their CPA and figure it out. So you take money out of your accounts, and when you do that, sometimes a withdrawal from your 401k can move you into a higher tax bracket. It can cause more of your Social Security to become taxable. You can even pay higher Medicare Part B and Part D premiums 2 years from now because you took money out of your IRA this year. And as a result, when you do that, they raise the premiums on your Medicare. They withhold it from your Social Security. So now you have less Social Security income 2 years from now because of an IRA withdrawal. It's this stuff where I don't realize it's going to happen, but it's a tax. The other one is this. I had a guy who came in and he comes up with about $2.5 million. And as we're looking through, I always say, bring your tax returns in. He said, why is that? I've got a tax person. I said, I understand. I'm not questioning your tax person. I want to take a look to see how you're being taxed on your investments. So we go through all the schedules. Now, he was living a very modest lifestyle. For someone with $2.5 million, he's living on about $50,000 a year of income.
Okay.
Most of that was Social Security. So very little in withdrawals. And we went through and I noticed that a lot of his money wasn't in a 401k, it was in a brokerage account, a non-qualified account. So as we start looking, I looked at the last 5 years of taxable income. He went from 80,000, 82,000, 150,000, 300,000, 300,000. That's how much taxable income he had over the last couple of years. And I said, Rich, what were you doing? Like, what lifestyle? Like, I don't see you spending 300,000 a year. What is the lifestyle you've done? Like, did you buy a house? Did you gift a bunch of money? He said, I didn't do anything. I've not had more income. I had no idea this was going on. And we started digging into it. Well, what happened was the stockbroker that was running his investments switched from a buy and hold model to an actively managed portfolio, which sounds really, really good. Actively managed. I'm going to get you in and out of the market as things happen. I'm going to adjust and constantly rebalance you. I am watching your money closely. So every time they would sell it again, it would trigger a taxable event. Remember, Rich isn't taking any money out of this account, but yet he went from $80,000 to $85,000 of taxable income a year to $300,000 of taxable income because the advisor, and again, I'm not even going to use the stockbroker, was buying and selling through the course of the year, triggering all these taxable events. If they had just held the investments past 1 year, the tax brackets would have been way lower. But he is a widower who no longer has his wife here. And so he's a single taxpayer. And he is just getting hammered on ordinary income at higher tax brackets because the stockbroker doesn't know about the tax laws or doesn't care to know about them. So we went through and I said, golly, if you're going to have all this income, you should have and he loved to golf. I said, you should have a golf simulator in a custom built barn out behind your house. And you should be taking trips to Augusta and to the Waste Management Open in Phoenix. You should be living the golf life of your dreams for $300,000 a year taxable income. Instead, you're living on $50,000 and the government gets to live on $300,000 of your taxable income. Think about that. The government's doing better on your money than you are. And he said, I had no clue. And I said, right, why would you? It's inside of your tax return that you don't want to deal with. And you're trusting a stockbroker to manage your portfolio. And you were sold on the idea that active management was better for you because it's going to increase your returns by 3 to 5% a year. But yet it increased his taxable income almost 4 times.
I was going to say, what's the quick math on that? Yeah.
It's insane.
And the tax bracket, income, like how, it just tipping, if he had just stayed below like 280 or something, just like those little details too that creep in.
And it's also triggering higher Medicare premiums, which is going to decrease Social Security in 2 years. And all these phantom taxes cause phantom income that you realize on a tax return, but don't realize in your day-to-day life. And that to me, I'm not going to use the word crime, but it's
big shortfalling of the industry. It's a huge disservice.
It's a really selfish move. It's a negligence. I think it's financial negligence.
Okay.
How dare you put me in a position to pay more in taxes and end up with less money?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to me.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went through it, I said, Rich, if we just make a few adjustments, we can bring your taxable income back down to where it's supposed to be. And then you only pay taxes when we're ready to liquidate and do something about it. So we started doing all these things. And again, he's someone who was living on this low budget because he was afraid of running out of money.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I don't know what I could possibly spend it on. So then we started dreaming. What could you spend it on if you weren't overpaying in taxes? Taxes are part of your life.
Yeah.
Winning in taxes is optional. Losing in taxes is optional. Build a plan that makes sense for you, but know what you're doing. Local independent fiduciary advisors really dig into how much do you need? What are the tax consequences? Where should the money come from? What does distribution look like? And not allowing you to be in a portfolio that runs your tax bill up while your income stays the same. Have a tax plan that's built for you and your family. If you want to understand your tax position, if you want us to run a report, if you want us to look through your returns so we can figure out how your investments are being taxed, that way you keep as much as possible of what you've earned and saved. Give us a call, 616-512-2127, or reach out to us at michigansretirementcoach.com. Click the button that says Start Your Retirement Roadmap today. Let's get a time set up for you and I to talk, to hear about your situation, to run a tax analysis for you. You don't have to overpay. You have to pay what you have to pay.
Right.
But there are strategies to bring that number down, and don't be like Rich. Don't be caught off guard. Don't let someone else screw up your tax bill. Have a plan, move forward, and live the life you're supposed to live. 616-512-2127.
Mike and his team, they're here to help guide you through this process because at the end of the day, the goal is that you're going to retire one time. But Mike and his team, they're retiring every single day. We're helping folks do that. So they got a lot of wealth of knowledge in their pocket that they're ready to share with you. MichigansRetirementCoach.com is our website where you can go to start the conversation with Mike and his team, or click on the links we got posted in the show notes.
Thanks for listening to Michigan's Retirement Coach with Mike Douglas. To learn more, visit MichigansRetirementCoach.com.
Michael Douglas is an investment advisor representative of Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Michael Douglas is licensed in your state, please call 517-323-7526. Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Michael B. Douglas, NPN number 9650939.